a quick clarification, just by the mechanism of the Laura's Law, ATO. I get the cases delivered to my office. There's no more than 25 of them in all this time.
That's right.
Very few of them. Also, since you said it triggered all of LPS, it's kind of interesting because each time they're 5150, or every time somebody gets involuntary or gets evaluated, they're given the 5331 statement, which declares that anybody who has been evaluated, declaration of competence. So they have 8 statements of competence. You could say they've been evaluated 8 times, but everybody walks out to see competence. So it's kind of weird. It goes right back to, are they legitimately, can they be concerned? And that would have happened during any one of those 5150s with the SRO votes. So it's kind of weird.
Or one of these shelters, it's been over a year. They are full of disease and danger, and there's no assistance. So you either come away with something, or you lose everything you had. And if that doesn't get looked at, we're losing a lot of people to that population, or it's increasing to the already traumatized individual. Been there, done that. I don't know if you've seen it. I think that needs to be brought to everyone's attention before this even moves forward. Secondly, where do we put these people? These people is what I'm saying. We don't have enough resources to maintain those with mental health challenges from any level, to low functioning to high functioning. We don't even have that. We don't even have sufficient people trained in AOD counseling. So to just say, no, you know what, we're not going to give you any help, we're going to stick you in a room, is almost, it's actually kind of sickening, actually. It's sickening. And we need to bring much more attention to this. I got this notice less than 24 hours ago from the mental health board. God bless, I got it. But we need to be out there really making a statement. It's under the radar. People are very, very, like, if they look at somebody, they're like, excuse me for this, but this is what I hear. They're crazy, man. Wait till that passes. Like, seriously? So we really need to look at some concrete things and laws and stuff. And I'm right with the lawyer guy, because at this point, I'm in the same situation with the Department of Housing and Employment, DFEH, and it's systematic. So we cannot just put these people where there's nowhere to place people that actually need help.
That's a very good point.
Hi, if you actually read SB 1045, there's a long list of things that have to be satisfied before the Board of Supervisors can begin the program. And that long list of things is stuff that everybody needs. And so how can we use that list? Because you're serving a class of people who's going to be conserved. How about everyone else? Isn't that, would that be a legal way to push for this long list of things that everyone needs?
Yes, and that was the compromise, I think, in Sacramento, is that, okay, if you're going to do this, you have to do it right. I think my concern about that is that that there are some city officials who will certify, yes, we have all of that. And so we, as the public, need to say, okay, show us, give us the proof that you have that. And give us the proof that it's not reducing the availability of the voluntary services, because that's also in the law. How are they going to do that? When we were at the first sort of gathering in which they were talking with a number of advocates about this and city officials, they said, well, we don't actually have to increase the number of services because the people we're identifying are already in the system. They're already part of the process. But they're in the system for voluntary services, and we're changing it to involuntary. So whatever is designated for them is a decrease of what is voluntarily available.
Create that vicious circle.
So I work for a housing provider, and I actually manage a continuum of care building, which was formerly known as Shelter Plus Care, a federally subsidized program for severely mentally disabled adults who also suffer from ill diagnoses of focused for that initial contact that we have with these individuals before they make it to the psych ward. And I know the CW was making comments, which I share, with experiences with my clients about when the police come in, it almost makes things worse. And what I dealt with as a frontline staff and what my staff struggle with is that the resources that we would love to see come into our buildings, so mainly homeless outreach team, or if we're trying to call global crisis, they never come. And not only do they not come, but they tell us they won't come. And we have to be so selective about the verbiage that we use because we're so afraid that if we say the wrong thing, they're going to say, oh, no, we can't do that. You have to call the police. So my question is, and just to say with the police, every time I call, I advise my staff, ask for a CIT officer. Request that crisis intervention officer to show up because you don't know if they're going to go to the jail or if they're going to go to SF General. So my question is, in your opinion as a panel, how can we best equip a team like Mobile Crisis to respond to these types of situations without the requirement of having a police presence?
Unfortunately, that seems to be part of their makeup. But what you can do is ask for a CIT trained officer. That's someone who is trained to deal with people who are in a mental health state. And you get in contact with Mental Health Association of San Francisco .org, you'll be able to follow that or talk to someone. In fact, we have someone right here in this room that can tell you a little bit more about that. And my co-worker Peter, you might can get in contact with him. And one of the things we're trying to do is actually outreach to hotels and apartments that have people that are dealing with this, and try to see if we can network and co-work together so that these things are not happening, so to speak. So I would suggest that we find a way to maybe sit down at a summit or a table and figure this out going forward.
Yeah, and I think, also, someone asked earlier, what can we do? We're professionals working in this and we're dealing with this really messed up system. Gotta engage in the struggle, in the fight, big time. Because there is a whole different vision of what our system could look like, where we have mobile crises that is not just one team, but multiple teams that that's available 24 hours where we don't call the police. Like they should be nixed out of the equation altogether. We should have, a system of care where, when folks are placed into housing, that they're getting intensive care. That we're not, our supportive housing system, at this point, basically, you have the resources to deal with maybe 3 to 5 people with really intensive needs. Once you go above that number, they really don't have the capacity to give people the kind of care that they need if they have, really severe impairments. And, we're talking about folks with multiple medical issues, folks with addiction disorders, folks with severe trauma, folks with brain trauma, folks with, and all of this stuff intermingled and connecting to a severe psychiatric diagnosis. This is a lot. This is a lot. And I'm just going to say, this didn't happen naturally. This happened by us screwing over poor people and forcing them to live outside for fucking decades and getting traumatized over and over. So we made this situation. We need to unmake it and not just go to this kind of lazy ass, let's just shut them in a hospital way of doing it, because that's not the right approach. We have an incredibly affluent city. Going to mention again with Prop C, we're going to be getting $75 million a year. So, we need to create a firestorm against this particular issue on 1045 and slam it right back at the Board of Supervisors, who frankly, many of them who should know better, are supporting this. And then we need to say, look, we have a chance for Prop C to work. We don't need this. Give Prop C a chance.
That's why we need that mental health summit, so we can all come together and hash these ideas out, so we have some solid shit to take to them. Seriously.
I know we have a lot of comments. Let's get a hand up if you have a comment to make, and let's just go through 7 or 8 people. So we have 2 in the front, I know. We have 1 in the middle. I see 1 in the 4th row from the back. 1 over here. Okay, we'll get to those folks first. Thanks.
Hi everyone, so I just want to point out like one other dimension as an LGBT person, like if I'm conserved then like who knows like what's going to happen, like whether you're going to experience a lot of homophobic or transphobic conservators, and that's something that Supervisor Mandelman has to think about. And also, there's already a I want to point out that there's already a culture, and I'm someone who lives in THC housing, of saying that in terms of policy, saying like we know what's best for you, and let's face it, conservatorship, that's the end result, and we need to. This is like probably a good way to. This is probably a good opportunity to pull back from that and like let people who have disabilities. Chart their own course and make sure that like our rights are protected as much as possible. And that's all I got to say on that.
There's a lawsuit about Prop C, am I right?
Yes.
A lawsuit, and they're saying that it's got to be passed by a 2/3 vote. What's up with that?
So we're going to have a forum on the